So we have received some massive admissions by the ATF and the new director that completely alters the legal landscape for millions of citizens. Recently, the ATF officially proposed some sweeping rule changes and intends to roll back the Biden era two-way restrictions. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a total victory for constitutional rights and two-way rights, and a sign that maybe this multi-year two-way conflict over pistol braces maybe is finally over. But if you look past some of the language and dive directly into the newly released regulatory text, we can actually see that there is a massive problem. And on top of that, we've received statements from the new ATF director that show that maybe this core legal battle is still wide open. Even while the agency is moving to erase its own prior rules, they are quietly attempting to preserve an alarming amount of open-ended authority. This sudden shift goes directly to the heart of a major remaining lawsuit, and it raises a critical question. Does this new ATF move actually settle the dispute, or does it prove exactly why this remaining lawsuit still matters more than ever? So we need to break down what exactly is happening and what happens with pistol braces moving forward. Now, before we jump into what is going on with the pistol brace restrictions and what the ATF is doing, if you like this type of content and you want to make sure that you get it going forward, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also turn on all notifications to ensure that you never miss these videos when I release them. I also want to thank one of the main supporters of this channel, which is Attorneys on Retainer. When it comes to self-defense protection, in my opinion, AOR is in a league of their own. They're backed by an actual law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom, and they're always trying to give you as much as possible as a member, and they're expanding their benefits to give you membership benefits that other companies can't. So if you're interested, if you want to check them out, you can do so using the links down below. And right now, for a limited time, if you use my exclusive code ARMSCHOLAR, you can get $50 off of your individual sign-up fee or $25 off the family sign-up fee. Now, to understand what is happening with pistol braces, we have to look at, really how we got into this mess. This entire nationwide fight originally started when the Biden administration issued its highly controversial 2023 ATF pistol brace rule. That regulation attempted to instantly reclassify millions of brace pistols as SBRs, forcing them under a strict rule which was regulated by the NFA. The ATF set up a massive system of factoring criteria, looking at things like total weight, length, surface area, and marketing layout. Overnight, millions of Americans were turned into potential felons. This immediately triggered lawsuits across the country, culminating in a major ruling and decision by Judge Reed O'Connor in the Northern District of Texas in a case called Mock versus Garland. That judge there handed the government a crushing defeat by issuing a nationwide vacatur of that rule, concluding that the ATF completely exceeded its authority under the APA. Following that devastating nationwide vacatur, the ATF has officially proposed to remove the 2023 pistol brace rule from the books. They want to get rid of it entirely now. The broad factoring criteria system is being abandoned, and the ATF text explicitly states that individuals can resume purchasing firearms with attached stabilizing braces without registration, provided that the firearm is not intended to be fired from the shoulder. In essence, the current ATF is signaling that it wants to go back to the pre-Biden era rules surrounding braces. But here's where the concerns really begin. In some recent interviews, one of them actually done by a friend of mine, Jared from Guns and Gadgets. If you want to watch that interview, I will link it down below. But in some of these interviews, the ATF director openly indicated that despite pulling back on this rule, the agency still may review some of these brace pistols as potentially creating illegal SBRs. He explicitly noted that while the ATF isn't actively hunting down or searching for everyday residents or citizens possessing these items, there is still the potential that people may be subject to the NFA on a case-by-case basis. According to the director, if an individual happens to come into contact with law enforcement for any reason, their firearm can be reviewed by agents on a case-by-case basis. This means that the underlying enforcement threat has not been completely done away with, it has not vanished, and simply it's just taking a different form. The ATF is abandoning a clear written framework and reverting back to the pure, unelaborated statutory language, claiming that they still have the vague authority to classify your braced pistols as SBRs under the NFA, and they will make that type of analysis on a case-by-case basis. And that is exactly why the major remaining lawsuit brought by GOA in the state of Texas is now very important and something that we need to watch out for and we need to keep our eyes on. GOA in that lawsuit is not just attacking the Biden-era brace rule. They're going after the ATF's underlying legal theory that they still are going to try to use. GOA is fighting to ensure that the federal government cannot use vague statutory language to execute surprise case-by-case criminal enforcement against you just because you have a braced pistol. In fact, the Department of Justice has already admitted in this case in some of the court filings that erasing the rule does not eliminate their ability to enforce the underlying statute. They told the court point blank that the NFA and GCA still apply and that the rule itself carried no independent criminal penalty. So they're essentially saying that they did not even need the rule. In other words, what we are looking at is not a total surrender by the ATF. Instead, this is simply reverting back to the old standards. They lost badly in the lower courts, faced a devastating nationwide vacatur of the rule, and realized that their aggressive framework could not survive. So now they're backing away from that high-profile Biden-era brace rule to bypass the courts while quietly maintaining an open-ended, vague authority to scrutinize your property on a case-by-case basis. Because this is currently a proposed rule, it must still go through the whole formal administrative process, including public comments and potential revisions. But as this unfolds, the GOA case remains the ultimate line of defense. It may ultimately determine once and for all whether the ATF can continue to regulate or criminalize braced pistols under the statute alone without any clear standards. Now, as of right now, the case is kind of on a hold pattern. The court right now in the GOA pistol brace case is determining whether the case is now moot and simply should be dismissed. Both sides have submitted their papers to the court, and now we're just waiting to see how the court rules on that issue. It's also going to be interesting to see if the plaintiffs in this GOA case submit some of these new statements and some of the new positions by the ATF to show that this concern that we all have, that they're still enforcing this type of underlying legal theory on a case-by-case basis, that's still out there, and that's why the court needs to rule on this legal theory. But in general, the ATF is attempting a massive regulatory retreat on this issue, but the foundational fight over your constitutional rights is still very much alive. So as the GOA case advances and as this proposed rule moves forward and as we get more updates on how the ATF intends to treat pistol braces going forward, I will let you guys know. I will update you. If you want to continue to get these types of videos and updates, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, comment, and make sure you turn on all notifications to ensure you never miss these videos when I release them. But as always, thank you so much for all of your support, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.